This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John Donalo. Now, before we start the show, I want to give a huge shout out to the Louisville Bats. And pretty soon you're going to see John Donalo wearing one of those hats. I was there this weekend for an open house, and I will tell you, it's worth the trip to go see this beautiful stadium, which is part of an old train station. So very, very unique. So thank you to everybody in Louisville. See, I'm saying it right. Louisville, not Louisville, not Louisville, Louisville. And with that, I'm turning it over to Paul Seaburn.
Wow, I learned something. You learn so much on What in the World. First of all, you learn how to pronounce Louisville, not Louisville, Louisville. It's kind of like Nolans.
Yeah.
I say Texas. or you go to now here we go off on a tangent. You go to New York and you don't say Houston, you go to Houston Street. Um,
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's how people know that you're not from another place. Also, if you have a good attitude, you're not from New York. So, but anyways, let's get right to What in the World. Thank you for that great introduction, Karen Hale. It's me, Paul Seaburn, your host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast, real news, sometimes strange, real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. I don't know if anybody's hearing stuff in the background there, but it looks like we may have gotten it cleared up.
That was an AI message.
AI, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No. If we're getting, I used to worry about the Men in Black. Now I have to worry about AI interfering with our podcast. What a world we live in. So and that's what we're talking about is the world that we live in, but not the depressing stuff, the politics, the business, the religion, the all that stuff. We don't talk about that at all. We try to stick with the fun, strange, weird news from around the world, around the universe. We go to outer space. We get those great stories. We have a blast with them, and we hope that you laugh along with us. And that us starts with the first voice you heard in your ear. That's Karen Hale, our co-host, producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. Go to newclevelandradio.net. Find out how to listen to our podcast for free on all the major platforms. Find out about all the other great podcasts that Karen produces and hosts. She also hosts a few of them. And last but not least, she does. You can find out about Yes I Can coaching with Karen. Karen is also a professional coach. You can learn more about her services. Yes I am. Yes I am coaching. Yes I can. There we go. It is also our sponsor, so we want to thank her for that as well. The other voice you heard is none other than our sports guy, the other co-host, my old buddy John Donalo. Hey John, how are you? John is outside today. We're in Northeast Ohio. John is sitting outside by his hot tub. I know where he's at. In his
well, it's wonderful weather here, Paul, as you just mentioned. Paul, Karen, and audience. It's great weather here in Cleveland, and it's great to be outside and great to be doing the podcast again this week. So I'm sure we're gonna have a great show.
We will have a great show, John. That was a great introduction. We have some great stuff to talk about today, and let's get right to it. Oh, this is for John. We've got Bigfoot stories. We've got a man, and this is for our buddy Brian down in West Virginia. Maybe he knows about this. A man attacked a Bigfoot. A man attacked a Bigfoot in West Virginia. Wow. You're going to hear about it here. Dinosaurs in Cleveland, our hometown. You're going to hear about it here. The best time of the day and the best time of the year to go looking for the Loch Ness monster. The worst holiday celebration in Belgium. We got a couple of holidays coming up here. This is the worst one in Belgium. Tips for watching UFOs and also for getting some good pictures of them to send to us. Remember, if you get a good picture of Bigfoot, we'll send you a Bigfoot buck. I don't have a alien buck yet, but send us a good picture.
We're working on that.
We're John. That's right. When he's not busy printing $100 bills in his basement, he's working on our UFO.
Oh, great
It's a
line
retirement
there,
job.
Paul. Great
It's
line there.
capitalism, John. So and you'll love this. And I didn't know this even existed. There are rules for eating fondue. So I've got to, we're going to talk about this big world record fondue. And then I found out there's actual rules for eating fondue, which are much funnier than anything else. I'm going to get to that.
Oh,
We got more odd news. We've got trivia. John's got a great weird sport for us. So let's get right to it with our first story. Get my notes here. Okay, so if you listened to our show last week, and why didn't you if you didn't? Go back, stop right now and go and listen to that show. Otherwise, this won't make any sense. Yes, it will. We talked about don't go running away. We talked about dinosaurs and how billionaires are buying the skeletons of dinosaurs. And we thought, what a waste of money that must be. Well, during this week, I got a photo from one of our many fans on Facebook about dinosaurs in Cleveland. While I'm talking about this, I guess I need to get some pictures up and mention that we are on YouTube. It's always a good place to listen to the show and watch the show on YouTube because we do have photographs that go along with many of the stories. We also have a photograph of my book, What Would You Say to a Naked Space Alien? Available on Amazon.com, and you can also find out more about it on my website, paulseaburn.com. So check that out. There's a picture of it right there, along with a beautiful flying saucer, by the way, obviously made by artificial intelligence. No UFO buck for that one. But so we talked about these dinosaurs last week, and I got a photo of some dinosaurs in Cleveland from one of our fans. This dinosaur is called the Pierogisaurus. Now,
very timely during Lent. Very timely.
oh, you better believe it, John. And anytime in Cleveland. So John mentioned last week that his favorite dinosaur is the Stegosaurus. So I never looked at pierogies this way, but a pierogi is a dumpling folded over, pinched on the top. It kind of looks like a Stegosaurus, but somebody made these. They made little tails on the end and little feet underneath it and a little head up front so that it really does look like a Pierogisaurus. I'm sure they're available for lunch at one of our museums in Cleveland. If they're not, they should be. I had people, from all over the country saying, "Oh, send us some," or worse. My cousin said, I'll be right over. Fry me some up with some eggs, not eggs, onions, fried onions. Fried onions go great with pierogies. So only in Cleveland, and there's a saying, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him to fish, he'll eat every day. Well, in Cleveland, if you teach a man to make pierogisauruses, he'll create works of art. And that's what we have right here. And of course, in Cleveland, what we do with our works of art, we eat them. That's right. So, I think so. Thank you, whoever sent that. It was sent anonymously, so thank you so much for that. Okay, so we've got some stories from around the world. Let's start with Australia. We have a Yowie story from Australia that I'll be talking about later in the Bigfoot segment of the show. But first, we're going to talk about another fun story I posted on Facebook. Lady by the name of Maura Lanzarin. She's a cattle producer. That's what they call cattle ranchers down in the Northern Territory of Australia. I've been there. Beautiful country. Well, she woke up one day to find that a 6.5 foot long olive python was in her bedroom. And not only in her bedroom, it had eaten her bra and was in the process of swallowing her shirt next.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a picture of this is beautiful snake with the shirt in its mouth, and you could see a lump about 2 feet down the body where she knows her bra was, because she said the way they were in a basket and the bra was on top and the work shirt was underneath it. So she left it alone, and eventually the shirt disappeared, and then it reappeared along with the bra. Uh, and as she put it, slimy but wearable after a good wash.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh boy. How would that now that is what in the world quality right there.
Yeah.
There you go. Look it up in the dictionary. That what in the world, you'll find that picture right there.
Wow.
She's going to protect all of her other clothes from pythons by sewing labels in it that say dry clean only. So
Oh, good one, Paul. Good one.
so I was checking this out. I was trying to learn more about olive pythons, and I had no idea that any kind of snake was branivorous.
Oh, get the
Oh.
horn out on that one.
Oh.
Get the horn out on that one.
So she
All
said
right.
she was glad that it didn't ruin her work shirt, because, this is Australia. She's a cattle rancher. Her work shirt is also her lingerie. So, I mean, you can tell this is Australia. She really did wash the stuff and was going to use it again. Karen, I know, and most women would throw it out immediately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pick it up with a stick or a broom handle or something. Don't even touch it. She says that, how did she do it? She said it was quite slimy and certainly needed a very good soak, but it all came back out in one piece and bounced back perfectly. So that means she's wearing it again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, John.
Wow.
She says, my initial reaction was to throw them in the bin, but we soaked them in half a bottle of disinfectant, then sanitize them for several days in the sun, and I think they've come up great, and no one would be the wiser. Well, I'm sorry, Maura, but you put it on the internet, so we all know.
So everybody knows it, right? Everybody knows it.
Yep.
Oh boy.
And now we put it on What in the World, so everybody knows about it.
Everybody.
Yeah. The world knows it now, obviously.
Exactly. So, so this is for, if living in Australia, this is a perfect thing for her to wear on a date, because the guy's gonna want to know all about it. He knows it's her lingerie. This is the coolest thing. And especially if she's going out with Crocodile Dundee or one of those.
Oh.
I can't believe we still remember who Crocodile Dundee was. I think that movie is at least 40 years old.
It goes back quite a few years. No question about it.
I looked him up. I was going to talk a bit about him. He's still alive. I think he's 85.
Wow.
He's not in the movie business anymore. It was originally a comedian down in Australia. So interesting story, but we're not going to talk about that. Okay, so let's move on from the snakes. I know Karen doesn't want to look at the snake anymore. Eating a nice shirt. So, we just had Mardi Gras here in the United States, and we had St. Patrick's Day is coming up in a couple weeks. So, we're into wild holidays. We think in America, we know what a wild holiday should look like. But wait until you hear what they do in Belgium. Okay, so this comes from the Spring Festival of Krijklingen in Gerardsbergen, Belgium, where they have this festival. The festival is that's what it's called, Krijklingen. Krijklingen is the name of the festival. Dates back to 1413, so it's well over 500 years. It starts with the throwing of the kringles. Now, I thought, I'd like to see that. Maybe it's reindeer on the roof pushing Santa Claus off. But it's not that kind of kringle, unfortunately. Kringles are like a bagel in Belgium. So they're round, pretzel-like pastry, but they're soft. So they throw them off the roofs to people. You don't have to lift your top, although I think that would be pretty cool too.
On the New Orleans Mardi Gras.
Exactly.
I get it.
They should deep fry them. because if they deep fried them, then they would be a crisp Kringle.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I don't think you need to horn on that
I
one.
didn't
That's
like
not
that
too
one,
bad, Paul.
John.
No,
Okay.
that's okay. That's kind of good, actually.
So, okay, but this isn't the crazy part. So, you know, next comes the Druids. So they have these Druids because it's a 500-year-old festival. So people dress up like Druids. Here's a picture of the Druids, and they're walking through the village, and they're carrying a goblet, this giant goblet. Now you can see in this picture, there's a picture of a sign and a fish on the back, and some stuff written in Belgium, in the Belgian language. So the people are protesting because the Druids are carrying these giant goblets and wine goblets, and in these wine goblets are live fish. And what they do in the festival is you dress up like Druids and you drink wine filled with live fish. Here's a picture of a guy drinking live fish. You can see a couple of fish floating around there. They look like they
wow.
yeah. And there he's drinking away that red wine, of course, because that red goes with live little fish, I guess. I don't know. So it's a special wine, by the way, designed just for drinking fish. It's called the Dom Perignon. Dom Perignon. There we go. Okay.
I think we got it, Paul. We just didn't know
that was so bad.
Where you're going with that. I mean, I get that.
It was so bad, John didn't even react to it. That's how bad that one was. So what happens, of course, the party pooping PETA people are poo-pooing this practice. They say it's bad for the perch, for the little fish, so they don't want them to drink wine filled with fish anymore. I think it's bad for the fish. It's even worse for the dental hygienists in the city because they have to clean all that stuff out of your teeth after the festival's over.
Hey Paul, I got a question.
Sure.
So the significance when the festival started in the 1400s, was it for some type of religious belief or some type of issue they were having and they decided to do this? I'm just wondering, what was the origin of this?
It's in the spring. It's one of these spring festivals to celebrate the winter going away and planting the seeds and the little fish growing up to be big fish, except for the ones that they drink in the wine. I guess.
All right. Okay. There's some logic there.
Kind of what logic
there. Yeah.
So the Druids said they tried to cut a deal. They offered to switch to drinking beer with fish in it. And then it would change the name of the festival to the Trouttoberfest.
Oh,
they just keep on coming, John. So
that's what keeps our audiences riveted to this. That's right.
Riveted. That's the word, riveted. Yeah. So people are suggesting they should switch to goldfish crackers. Yeah, I know. They get all soggy. They wouldn't float in there.
No, that wouldn't fly too well, so to speak.
No, right? No. Oh, maybe flying fish that would fly better.
No, yeah, sure.
My solution is to switch to clam chowder. So you've got a mix. You've got a liquid that's ready made for holding fish. And clams, people don't care about clams, not as much as little swimming fish. So I think clam chowder would be the perfect substitute. They have to be kind of runny for you to be able to drink it out of the goblet. But I've obviously spent way too much time thinking about this. So let's move on. Move on to the file. One of my files. I have many files, and this is from the file that makes you do weird things. So a woman in England met her future husband in the toilet paper aisle at their local grocery store. They ended up getting married, and she commemorated the event by getting a tattoo of a roll of toilet paper on her leg. Could have been worse.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. It could have been worse because she said before he was in the toilet paper aisle, he was in the pork aisle where he was looking at some butts.
It takes all kinds.
They've been married for years. She just came out. The story came out recently, but it gets better. He actually worked for her at the grocery store. So eventually, he worked both over her and under her after they got married. But that's a different.
Oh, well, yeah.
So she says, I was his checkout supervisor, and I saw this young shop floor boy in the toilet paper roll aisle on his first day. 6'7", wavy hair, cute butt. That's how he got the job, obviously. Not the cute butt, but he was 6'7", so he could stock the top shelves.
Oh, yeah, right.
There you go. Then next thing you know, they went out on a date. Get a load of this. So their first date was at a place that served pizza and martinis. How romantic!
How romantic is right. Wow.
Classy place. Obviously classy. Pizza and martini. I think it was called Domino's Perignon.
We can't get away from the Perignon in this show, Paul. We can't get away from it.
Yeah, that callback. Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
got callback comedy here on What in the
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
sure.
So I got my own sports story this week for John here. So
Good.
this one comes from Germany. A referee in Germany had to cancel a soccer game. Now they call it football there, obviously. Had to cancel a soccer game between the football club Taxi 2 and the Rot-Weiss Mulheim 3 team on account of a debilitating pain that he felt when a player's child bit him in his testicle.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh my gosh. I can't even think of that, Paul. Wow.
This is not a picture of him because he's not in pain. But so the child, 4 years old, was at the game to see his father play. And while they were getting warmed up, the kid came over and bit the referee in the testicle.
Oh, makes me cringe just thinking about that. Oh,
I know. The referee's okay. He's okay. The game was rescheduled, and the child has been signed by the Cleveland Browns. So,
I didn't know that. Wow.
Sure.
What's he going to do for the Browns, Paul?
Chasing the referees. I think it would work out.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So the kid said it wasn't his fault. He says he knew it was a soccer game. He wasn't allowed to use his hands, and he didn't want to kick the ball, so he bit it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy.
4 years old. Come on, John. Give him a break. He's 4 years old.
Yeah, I get that, I guess. Wow. I just feel sorry for the referee. I mean, that's unbelievable.
So this story is all over the internet. And who else heard about it but Mike Tyson? And
Mike Tyson.
He's been inspired to get back into the boxing ring again with a new strategy.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Okay. All right. I know, John. Right. I don't want you cringing over there. So
yeah, I'm still trying to get over it. Jeez. Okay.
We'll move on. A viral video circulating online shows what appears to be a real person, a man, of course, dangerously performing pull-ups on what appear to be live power cables. That's right. He is doing pull-ups on power lines above his neighborhood. The even birds think this is a squirrely thing to do.
So to speak.
So they said that it leaves many, many questions unanswered. Number one, who the guy is. I don't know where it's at. The story, that's all I have on the story. But a lot of the questions that I got on Facebook were submitted by squirrels and birds wanting to know how the heck he's been able to do this and not end up electrocuted.
Yeah, it's a talent like anything else, I guess, right?
Wow. Well, John, okay, you're looking at the picture. How did he get there? Did he go hand over hand on the wire? Did he?
Well, yeah. I mean, it looks like did he have to climb? But there's still like the surge arrestor, right? With the the pole that you see with the rings around it. It looks like he had to climb up there or climb up on the other part of the post or whatever it is, right? I mean, that takes some dexterity as well. And then end up there, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, was it a giant drone fly him up there or a helicopter?
I don't know.
But then,
you go ahead.
Yeah, then you got to think, why didn't he get electrocuted? So I looked up why birds don't get electrocuted, because that always fascinated me. How come birds and squirrels can go on these lines but I can't? So birds don't get electrocuted because they only perch on one wire, and so their body is the same charge as the wire.
Okay.
The charge does not go through them.
That makes sense.
No voltage difference between them and the wire. Basically, the squirrels do the same thing. They only run on one wire. So this guy, it's a weird picture. It's hard to tell if he's on one wire or two wire.
Yeah, really. No kidding.
He's not in flames. He's
not on fire.
He's on one wire. Yeah.
Boy.
But so that would make him okay unless the line sagged to the ground, and then he would be grounded.
Get the horn out for that one.
Yeah,
get the horn out for that one. Sorry.
Be electrocuted. Yeah, because the charge would pass through him to the ground. Which is what happened. That's what happened. That would happen to any of us if we tried to do this.
Right.
That would immediately sag to the ground. So. We're just too heavy to do pull-ups to begin with, but
yeah, no kidding.
Okay, here's another sport you wouldn't want to try at home. This comes from a ballet dancer. Her name is Yara Dare. It's spelled Khdair, but it's pronounced Dare. She got into the ballet split position, which is hard enough, but then she balanced between two all-terrain vehicles, ATVs.
Oh boy.
For a ride. She rode them for 1,541 feet. That's about a quarter of a mile.
Wow.
She broke the Guinness World Record for the longest distance covered while performing a split on two moving ATVs. Who knew there was a record?
I was saying, what a category that is, Paul. Wow. Oh.
Here's another page. There's a better picture of it from the front, so you can see exactly how dangerous that is. And what a athlete she is to be able to do this. This already has hit the ballet world by storm. There's already working on a ballet based on this called the Butt Cracker.
So, get the horn out for that one. Very good. Well done, Paul. Well done.
Believe it or not, she says she did not know either of the ATV drivers before attempting this stunt. But after setting the record, they both felt they knew her well enough that they asked her to marry them. Pretty impressive feat. Here's a picture of her between two big pickup trucks holding her Guinness certificate.
Wow.
So to get the record, she was required to not touch anything with her arms while each of her legs was balanced on a different ATV.
That's unbelievable. That's incredible.
She should have at least been able to cover her eyes, because I wouldn't want to.
My.
She's got dark glasses now. Maybe that's why she's wearing the dark glasses.
Maybe that's why, right. Wow.
God, it gets better. The ATVs were required to maintain a speed of at least 3.1 miles per hour for the duration of the attempt. Now, this sounds like something for Florida. This sounds like one of the Florida games.
I would agree.
Yeah, but you don't need an ATV. You got plenty of golf carts down there.
Oh, no doubt about that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, do a split between two golf carts. It'd be a great way to test your hip replacement to see if it's in.
Oh my! That's throwing caution to the wind on that one.
How about that? What a record that is. So,
no doubt. Wow.
Another world record. This one's not a sport. So this is the French cheese company Euroflore. set a Guinness World Record for the largest fondue ever. They mixed 40 wheels of Comté cheese with white wine, 4.5 pounds of garlic, 3 1/3 pounds of white pepper, and 121 pounds of cornstarch for stability into a giant food processor. That's a picture of the food processor right there.
Okay.
Mix the ingredients into a 4,800 pound fondue. That's 2 tons of liquid cheese.
Who would have thought of that? Who would have thought of that?
Why didn't we think of that?
Oh my gosh.
So to make it official, the fondue was then heated in a hot tub that once belonged to the band Bread. So
Oh.
actually,
Oh.
that part wasn't true. But what they did, they actually did. Here's a picture of a guy dumping the cheese into the mixer.
Wow.
And here's a picture of all the people. They served it to all kind of people. You know, anybody could come in and eat it. I guess you had to bring your own long, skinny fork. So I had to look up fondue, you know, because this was in France, but fondue originally originated in Switzerland, not in France. And it's a Swiss word, fondue, which means stabbing bread for fun, which is the way they pronounce fun.
Okay, all right.
So it basically, fondue is any kind of food dipped into a communal pot of hot liquid that qualifies as a fondue, which means cannibals can have fondue. All they need is
Paul, you're really out on the limb on this one. Like, how would you think about the cannibals? I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me,
you know, John, this is why I can't sleep.
Well, that's an explanation, I think, Paul. Wow.
So that brings me to the rules for eating fondue. I'm looking, you know, Wikipedia has everything, and there's actually rules for eating fondue. So you must use those long, skinny forks. You know, I think you should use those long, skinny forks all the time. You lose weight, you know, trying to stab a steak or a piece of meat or anything with those little skinny things. Better than taking that Ozempic stuff. Now, if you have a piece of bread on the end of your fork and you dip it into the fondue and you lose your bread, then you are penalized. And the penalty traditionally is you must buy a round of drinks for the people at your table, sing a song, or run around in the snow naked.
None of those options sound very good.
When I saw that, I immediately got on Amazon and ordered a fondue pot. I thought this was going to be fun.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's unreal.
Now, another rule. There's more rules. That's not the only rule. Another rule, fondue rule, you must always stir in the shape of a figure 8. You must always stir so you know what an 8 looks like, except in Rome. In Rome, you must stir in the shape of the figure VIII.
Oh, well, that's good. Again, keeping with the Roman numeral, obviously. I understand that.
I knew I had you on.
I got that. I got
that. Explain that. Do not. Oh, and finally, you do not scratch the bottom of the pot with your fork. So you have to be careful not to scratch the bottom, which is also a good rule in the bedroom. But
self-inflicted horn there, Paul. Very good. Very proactive of you. Very proactive.
So what do you do, John, when the fondue is almost gone? You know, there's a little bit on the bottom, and you want to get that last bit because you know how good that cheese is. Traditionally, you're supposed to add an egg, I guess a raw egg, and some schnapps to the pot.
Well, you can't go wrong with schnapps in a way, right? I mean,
raw egg, yeah. Then I guess you put down the fork and you get a whole piece of bread, and you just wipe the whole thing up and soak up all the schnapps and everything and eat.
Well, you can't let the schnapps and cheese go to waste, obviously.
Of course not. Of course not. what a tragedy that would be. So, oh, sorry about that, people. Okay, so we're always talking about the blurry UFO pictures. We just talked about them 10 minutes ago, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. That is correct.
So someone has finally come up with 5 tips on what to do if you see a UFO. And of course, I have the list. Now I have my own list. I have my own list first. My list of 5 things you should do when you see a UFO is focus, zoom some more, take a deep breath, and then yell for somebody else to take the picture because you're obviously too stoned to take it. So
you're not in your right mind. You're not in your right mind at that point.
So this comes from the fine folks at Psychic World. In fact, I have a picture of it. There we go. There's a blurry photo for us to use.
Oh yeah, that's right in there.
Yeah, that's the perfect photo for John to complain about. So this comes from the fine folks at psychicworld.com, which is already a warning sign because psychic predictions aren't very accurate anyway. So they're kind of like the blur of forecasting. So but they sent it to us. So here it goes. So rule number 1, stay calm and observe carefully. Good rule. Look around, see if you're at an airport, it's not a UFO. It's probably a plane. So good rule number 1. Rule number 2, document everything immediately. Okay. So one of the things they say is to draw a picture if you don't have the phone, which is, I thought about that. Just a bad idea these days because, how long when we were growing up, we had art class. I don't think they have art class in school anymore. And I've seen how people draw. It looks awful. So, it's not going to be blurry. It's just going to be scribbles. Rule number 3, seek out other witnesses. I think this is a good thing to do. Preferably not the people that you were getting high with, but because they're going to say they saw it too. Report the sighting to the appropriate authorities. And they said not to the police because, they'll bring their drug sniffing dogs and then you're going to be in trouble and you'll never get to report your UFO anyway. And finally, rule number 5, avoid misinformation and stay updated to see if there's been other people reporting the UFO in your neighborhood. So there's the list of 5 things you should do. I guess I would add, keep your phone always charged and.
I think that would be a smart idea. Sure.
Yeah, or keep it in your hand, or keep it readily available if you're looking for UFOs. So okay, so we go from blurred photos of UFOs to blurred photos of the Loch Ness monster, which is also a problem. Now this is the original photo of the Loch Ness monster, which is a fake. That's why you can actually see the neck on it. So researchers at St. Andrews University in Scotland have gone to a database of Loch Ness monster sightings, and they've collected all of the stories, and they've turned it into data to identify patterns on when the Loch Ness monster appears, so that they can advise people on the best time of the day and the best time of the year to see the monster. So they said that monster sightings spike during summer months when weather conditions are excellent. And the majority of sightings seem to take place during August at around midday, when the conditions are most likely to be bright and clear. So it's not raining,
right. Makes sense.
Sunny. Yeah. The only problem I have with this, midday to me means noon, right?
That's what you would think.
Yeah. In Scotland, the pubs open at 10 a.m. So,
well, there's a storyline coming. I hear.
I'm a little concerned. Yeah, maybe you should recommend people looking for it at 10 o'clock on their way to the pub. Maybe a little more.
There you go. There you have it.
Now, the worst time to look for the Loch Ness monster is in the middle of the night while you're skinny dipping. for
Yeah,
a
I would
variety.
think that's accurate too.
But for one thing, John, where would you put your phone, your cell phone?
That's a, that's up for conjecture. I don't think you'd have any idea where that would be.
So now here's an interesting point because we talk about the Loch Ness Monster a lot. They found that the average duration of an encounter was a surprisingly long 4.5 minutes. So most encounters, the average time people saw something that they thought was a Loch Ness Monster, 4.5 minutes. That's a long time. Um, so they said that this could be used as evidence that what people are seeing is not a fish or a bag or a log or something like that being covered by the wave, but it could be something that is purposely staying visible for almost 5 minutes, which, John, is long enough to pull your phone out, focus, zoom, and take a clear picture.
Well,
So
you just hit the nail on the head, Paul. Take a clear picture, which we're in search of for years with not only the Loch Ness but also your friend Bigfoot. So again,
well, what a great segue, John. Thank you for that, because I have clear photos of Bigfoot coming up next.
oh, let me
So
see them. I'm interested.
three stories on Bigfoot. The first
Okay,
one,
okay.
this one came from our friend Don down in Florida. Oh, big fan of Bigfoot. Don goes out looking and listening for Bigfoot all the time. So he saw this story. This isn't one that he saw, but he saw the story. It comes from Queensland, Australia, northeastern state, northeastern coast of Australia, on Lake Lenthal. So on a hot Tuesday, according to the report, I'm quoting, the man says, I saw a yowie jump out of a tree, a tree bough that was branch that was 15 feet high, hang for a moment by both arms before dropping to the forest floor, hitting the ground running. It was like lightning moving away uphill in the dense bush, as if there were no trees or bushes or even scrub. It was jet black, shiny fur from a conical, small, shoulderless head to large flipper feet toes. Its soles of its feet were like cement mixed powder, pre-sand gravel water. I don't know what that means. The
Yeah,
guy
that
said
seems a little bit distended there, whatever
a
that
little bit, yeah, but he
description
said it
was.
was
Right,
only
right.
5 feet tall and built like a brick, what house.
Got
So
it. Got
so
it.
I've got two photos here. Here's the first photo I've got. It's conveniently, a red circle to show where the Bigfoot fell out, jumped out of the tree. And there's that was from, looked like he was taking a picture from underneath his truck where he was hiding.
Right,
Uh,
right. Okay.
Now this one is more out in the open and it's a little better picture, but also conveniently circled for you. Uh, so what do you think, John? You seen those two there? Does that look like a
Uh,
you?
I have to say it seems like a rather germane, two germane photos. I mean, it's kind of what we see, and it's not definitive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. They are blurry. Um, I think the second one we would have been able to pick out whatever it was he was looking at without the red circle. Um, but
Yeah, well, you sure? Or he looks like he's an extension of the tree trunk, right?
yeah. Oh, it could be. It could be. As Don likes to point out. One of the things you should do when you see a Bigfoot or you think you see a Bigfoot is to wait a while and see if it moves, because that's
Okay.
always a good sign that it's a tree stump and not not a Bigfoot. He said even move around, and if it stays in the same place. So good advice from Don there. So
There you
so
go.
our vote on this one is nice picture, but probably we need more information.
Yes, we
How's it?
do. Yes, we do.
Okay, so now we've got the man attacks Bigfoot story from West Virginia. I jumped on this one. I couldn't believe this here. So this comes from the Elk River Valley of central West Virginia, uh, on the Elk River Trail. So it was the pictures were posted on the Elk River Trail Foundation's Facebook page, and they said that the photo was a Bigfoot with only one arm. And they said that they had seen this Bigfoot before, so they know it must have lost its arm in a fight with a human being. So here's a picture of the Bigfoot with only one arm. Quite a huge Bigfoot there, and
He looks rather statue-like, if you ask me.
statuesque, like a model, like a
Yeah,
supermodel.
absolutely.
So you can see where the arm was taken off by a human being, clearly cut. Must have been a surgeon who cut that arm off. So this was what we're looking at is a giant Bigfoot carved out of wood. Nice for your backyard. I would love to have this in my backyard. Here's what he looked like before his arm was cut off.
Rather imposing,
yeah.
if I can offer that.
This was carved by a group of high school students in central West Virginia, who and the original one weighed 1,800 pounds. So it's a big carving. They made it last year. It's been standing in the along the trail ever since. People come to see it all the time, take pictures of it. Here's another picture of it at night, kind of imposing looking, nice face on him. So, according to an outraged local newspaper, the vandal purposely and carelessly cut off the cryptid's right arm. Now, I blame someone who works in Washington, D.C., who's been running around with a chainsaw, inspiring people to do stupid things with chainsaws. But I'm not going to mention his name because I said we're going to stay out of politics. This is how big it is. Here's a picture of a lady standing next to it. So, yeah. It's at least 15, maybe 20 feet tall. So it's a huge.
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
Bad news that somebody cut his arm off. And this is prime Bigfoot area. So you don't want to get the local Bigfoot mad.
No, that's not a good idea, I don't think.
This is my guess is, John, that this is at night. Bigfoot and his girlfriend come to the statue and they make out underneath it. I think that's why they like it.
Could be kismet. Could be some kind of serendipity there, right? Wow. Okay.
All right. So our last Bigfoot story comes to us from Maine, and this is just recent. Happened last week. Stephen Bartlett was going out in the snow. He lives in York County, Maine, near the Kenyon Hill Preserve. It's just a park. He had his cell phone out, John, and he saw footprints in the snow, which he took many, many pictures of and a video. He sent all of it with a report to the Bigfoot Research Organization, BFRO. He said the tracks were approximately 7 to 8 feet apart, stretched for around 150 feet before they became unrecognizable. So I've got 5 pictures. So here's where they started off.
Okay.
And he gets a little closer. You can see many, this is Karen used to complain about this all the time. You only see one Bigfoot print and it doesn't go off in the woods. Well, here you go, Karen. A Bigfoot footprint going off into the woods. He continues to follow them. He gets closer, a couple of close-ups here. Then they, you see them going through between trees, just like a Bigfoot would. Looks like a right and a left foot kind of. They keep on going. I don't know. Did I guess that's it right there. Towards the end, I think they kind of veered off to the side before they disappeared. So,
well, you can see them. At least I can see them.
Interesting video. The video was pretty cool. The Bigfoot BFRO founder, Matthew Moneymaker, I've talked about him before. Originally from Ohio, he's one of the leading Bigfoot experts.
Okay.
He said these tracks could not have been made by any quote unquote prosaic creature such as a moose or a rabbit, nor were they from a person. He believes they were not a person. So he says that the trail constituted authentic Bigfoot snow tracks. Now, some people, before I go on to John here, they noted that they didn't see any broken branches. Like if it was a big Bigfoot, it might push branches out of the way,
Mm-hmm. Right. You would think that.
Yeah, I want to see, maybe he stopped to pee by one of the trees. So
Well,
Yeah,
that's a part when nature calls, right? I mean,
he's
yeah.
Bigfoot. He's like bears. Bears do it in the woods. I think Bigfoot does it in the woods too.
Sure.
So,
Well,
so
stands to
John, there
reason.
you go. We have five photos there of Bigfoot footprints in the sand.
But you
What's
know
your
what, Paul? If I can interject this, so it just lends itself to the continuing mystery. We have footprints, blurred photos. We have a statue with one, arm or whatever. It's still a mystery.
Yes.
It's a mystery. You have to have faith, John. It's like a religion. You have to have
I
faith.
guess. I guess that's the way of looking at it, Paul. All right. Okay.
I agree. I agree. There to me, there's no formity to the footprints. You can't see
Right.
toes or
Mhm.
maybe an arch or anything like that.
Right. No, that's right.
Um, but the strides look like they're long. That's the one thing I would
Yeah.
say.
So it's but it's in the category again of it could be, it
Yeah.
might be, it may be, right? All right. At least we got that down.
As you can tell, John likes facts, and there's no better place to get facts than in sports. And that's our perfect segue to what in the world of sports with our buddy John Dinallo. So every week, I've known John. Regular listeners know since we went to college together. We're fraternity brothers. John knows more about sports than anybody I know. So every week I challenge him: find us a sport that lives up to our motto: real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. And John always manages to find them. They're sometimes stranger than they are funny. But they're always a sport. And he's got one this week. So John, tell us what our sport is.
All right, Paul. Thanks for the big introduction. I appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, our sport this week is one whose name gives no clue at all as to what it actually is. The sport is called jack jumping, and it's also referred to as ski bach in Europe. Let me explain. This winter action sport involves a person descending a snow covered slope on a jack jumper. While that may sound like a combo tool to keep in your car's trunk, a jack jumper is actually a bench seat on a post attached to a ski. Now, if that sounds painful, the seat may be solidly mounted on the post or on a shock absorbing device, believe it or not. And it is painful. So, the origins of jack jumping, as well as its name, are a mystery. The earliest references date to the mid late 1880s in New England. Jack jump rigs from that time can be seen in museums, and they were homemade using barrel stays for skis and handcrafted wooden posts and seats to make the device.
Wow.
Now these jack jumpers were probably used by loggers to get home faster. but
Yeah.
since they look like fun, jack jumpers were popular with kids, and so the popularity gained. Now, there are even patents for jack jumpers, and the oldest patent issued for a jack jumper goes back to 1914 here in the US.
Wow.
The first European patent was registered in 1929 in Switzerland, and patents on improved models over time were granted in the US in both the 1920s and the 1930s. Now, Paul's got a great photo here. Today, jack jumping has moved on from loggers and kids to a popular sport with competitions held in ski areas around the world. In Europe, the first ski world championship took place on a location in the Alps. I'm trying to pronounce this correctly, the Tension Alps in 2006. And then the Eagle Brook School in Deerfield, Massachusetts has been holding jack jumping races at their winter carnival for over 80 years. Now,
Wow.
yeah, the most popular competition is downhill slalom racing on a jack jump. Now, this is similar to regular slalom skiing, with the jack jumpers speeding downhill on a race course constructed by laying out a series of gates. And in slalom competitions, 2 jack jumpers race downhill through sets of gates to the finish line. And again, the first jack jumper that gets there is the winner. Now, it wouldn't be a sport without some controversies. Believe it or not, many ski resorts ban jack jumping for safety reasons, and because the jack jumps don't work very well with chair lifts. Runaway rigs are a big problem, so jack jumps must be linked to their rider with a leash attached to their wrist. No variations on that.
Yeah, you can see that. You can on some of these, you can see they have a leash connected to the thing. So
there's always a need that people have and an interest in speed, obviously, and that's part of what happens with this sport. So, in closing, folks, despite all of that, the 2025 Jack Jump World Championships were held this month at Mount Snow. Now, while getting downhill, jack jumping in more areas is really an uphill battle. If you don't think that these competitors are serious, then you don't know Jack.
Oh.
And there could be a continuation of that, but I'm going to just leave it at that. This is a family show.
Okay.
I like that. Wow, great sport. I went. It looks painful.
Well, yeah, Paul and Karen and audience. I really think from what I've researched, it takes some guts to do this. I mean, it really does. I mean, you get the thrill of the speed going and being a winner and all that, but you go through some pain to be able to do it.
It looks, it looks less stable than a sled because you're up on a. It's like
oh, no kidding, yeah, sure.
Bar stool, but cutting off the legs of the bar stool and just leaving about a foot on it, and then nailing it to a sled and going down on that. That's kind of what if you don't have a photo, that's kind of what it looks like. Doesn't look comfortable. Definitely looks dangerous. But
no, you need to be athletic to do it for sure.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah. So I like the name of the company that sponsored it, Fiddlehead Brewing Company. That's I went looking, John. I wanted to help you out there because the 2025 championship was just held, and I happened to see the website, but they had the events. They did not have the finisher, so we don't know who the winner was.
Something to look for on the internet when you have spare time.
Yeah. Now I thought, first time I saw this when John was talking about jack jumping, I never heard of this. What the heck is it? But the more I thought about it, John, the more I remembered way back when we were in college, one of the other fraternities challenged us to a jack jumping competition.
Really? No, I'm not. I'm in the dark on this one, Paul. You have to help me on this one.
Fortunately, I have some photos of it because it was kind of, and you'll find out why it was kind of hazy in my memory as well. But so the older brothers, as always, they said, "Oh yeah, we'll put John and Paul in charge because they're the young guys and they're stupid." So they said,
we didn't know any better, that's for sure.
We didn't know any better. They said, "Okay, so the sport is jack jumping. You guys get ready and do it." So we did. We ran out. We got the equipment, and we actually jumped jack. And I've got a photo of me jumping jack right here. So there's me. Jumping over a bottle of Jack Daniels.
That goes a long way. Let's just leave it at that. That goes a very long way.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get very high. You can see I almost kicked that bottle over. But here's John. John would never kick over a bottle of Jack Daniels. He's practically flying over that bottle there, as you can see.
You got to protect the assets. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you have to do. I mean, no question about it.
There you go. Now, if those of you who question us on all these photos, we'll look at this photo carefully and notice that the bottle doesn't say Jack Daniels. It says it's kind of Jack Danese. Obviously, artificial intelligence used in making these photos.
Well, that's the way of the world, ladies and gentlemen.
Nonetheless, yeah. Who would believe that we had artificial intelligence way back then? we certainly were drunk enough to do something like this. There you go.
Oh,
That's it for this week's What in the World of Sports with John Donallo. Thanks, John. As always, that was a great story.
you're welcome, Paul. Thanks.
All right, so we're done with What in the World of Sports. That means it's time for Bluff, the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news show. Regulars know it's a real simple game. I have 3 stories similar to the ones you've been listening to this afternoon. One big difference. All of those stories were real. These stories may be real, may be a bluff. It's up to you, John and Karen, to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. John's got his outside buzzer today. So let's
Yes,
get
I do.
to story number 1. Don't drop it in the hot tub.
No, definitely not.
Story number 1. You might think that the banana is the perfect fruit and can't be improved on. But a biotech firm in England is addressing a complaint many people and ice cream shop workers have, cutting the banana for a banana split so that the halves are even and they don't cut their hands. The biotech company has spliced genes from an amoeba that reproduces by splitting in half into the genes of a banana and created a fruit that is already split when you peel it open. While they thought the splitting was the easy part, the amoeba genes affect the flavor of the banana, so the fruit is not ready for market yet. The company has no plans to modify the banana further so that it is split in the other direction so that it can be peeled and dumped into your cereal without cutting. But it is looking into developing pre-dried raisins for your bran flakes. Okay, so the biotech company in England that has gene spliced the banana to allow it to grow already pre-split when you open it. Real or bluff? We'll start with Karen.
Well, this was a very long story. And I'm so confused. I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay. On that note, that's it. Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you? Real or bluff?
Well, I think it's a bluff too. And I just think, like, how important is it for this biotech company to do this? I mean, biotech companies do a lot of things to help people. Don't get me wrong. Okay. There's nothing negative about that. But for this type of effort to have that so you can have a better split banana for your banana split, it can't be real. It just can't be. I'm praying it's not real.
That's from banana fan John Donallo there.
And I am a big banana fan, as a matter of fact.
Big banana fan. So both John and Karen say that story is a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say you're both right. That is a bluff.
All right, very good. Off and running, Karen. Very good. Very good.
I'll mention that story was inspired by a real story about bananas and gene splicing, and I already had the story written, and I saw it on Stephen Colbert the other night.
Oh, okay. All right.
What they did was they create a banana that stays fresh for 24 hours after you peel it, which I asked the same question as Stephen Colbert did. Who peels a banana and then decides, I'm going to eat this tomorrow? Nobody.
Yeah, it's not going to be very good. I mean,
yeah, you already got
setting up for that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Okay, so
my.
Score's tied 1-1. Let's get right to story number 2. A man in Wyoming has a job that sounds like he should be making porn movies, but he's actually better suited for movies about Jurassic Park. He calls himself a dinosaur erection specialist. And no, it's not that kind of erection. Although he does have to do some dinosaur mounting. He's also not the guy to call if you have a museum, because he uses a combination of real and homemade dinosaur bones to erect them doing non-dinosaur things. For example, one popular creation is the Triceratops Tea Party, which comes complete with a giant table and a tea set for 2 sipping dinosaurs. While his dinosaurs look somewhat real, the erections are more appropriate for art exhibits, parties, and amusement parks. While he says it won't make him rich, being a dinosaur erection specialist has made his business card a collector's item. Okay, so we'll go with John first. The man is a dinosaur erection specialist, and that's a real job. Real or bluff?
Well, I'm going to have to say that that's got to be a bluff. I mean, hard for me to think of this being, reality. I mean, how practical is it for this person to try to put together a dinosaur? Aren't dinosaurs large? That's the first thought that I have, right? And then he has like different, like, does he exhume parts of it from like the earth and then he creates other? It just sounds to me like a really convoluted mess. That's what I think. I think it's a bluff.
Boy, tough crowd here today. All right, John. Karen, how about you? Dinosaur erection specialist. Sounds like a terrible date.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, that you said it's not that kind of erection. So I'm very confused here, but I'm going to say it's real.
Okay. What perfect line, Karen. You get half a point just for that. For your disappointment. Okay, dinosaur erection specialist, real or bluff? To check with the judge. No, John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's real. The judges say, congratulations, go to Karen. That is a
Oh, I get fooled every time. I get fooled all the time. Congratulations to Karen, but I'm fooled again, as the song says.
It's the coolest thing. He has two giant triceratops that are sitting at a giant table, like in a cafe, sipping tea. And he's, it's only a few of the bones are from a real, but they have to be from a real dinosaur. And then the rest he makes out of plaster. They're the funniest thing. I loved it. Okay, check the score. The score says that Karen 2, John 1, but points are doubled in round number 3. So that means John can come back. Let's get right to it. It turns out that not all gas bags are in Washington, D.C. A gas station chain in Montana is offering gas in a bag. That's right. Strong plastic bags filled with 1, 5, or 10 gallons of unleaded or high-octane gasoline. The bags have a built-in self-closing nozzle to make it easy to pour into your car's tank, your mower, or your ATV. The company claims the bags are puncture-proof and flame retardant, but the fine print limits their liability. Gas in a bag is popular with people who run out of gas and don't want to invest in a plastic container. Unfortunately, Montana is the only state so far that allows the sale of gas in a bag. So fill your trunk up if you want to make a road trip to Billings for your fillings. Okay, gas stations selling gas in a bag in Montana, real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I guess if you could put wine in a bag, you can put gas in a bag. So I think it's such a unique idea, and congratulations for writing the story. I'm going to say true.
Wow, you can put wine in a bag? I guess you can, yeah.
Did you see wine in a bag?
I thought it came in a
wineskins. Don't you remember back in the day, the wineskin? Wow.
All right, Karen said that's a real story. John, how about you?
Well, I think it's real too. And I think for a couple of reasons. First of all, Montana, it's a lot of wide open space in Montana, right? And I think that maybe there might not be that many filling stations in Montana. So again, I'm kind of drawing the logic card on this one, but I think that it really is a real thing. So I'm going to say it's true.
John, oh wow, okay. So both John and Karen say that is a real story. Gas in a bag is a real thing in Montana. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, have you ever heard the expression explosion? It's illegal across the United States to put gas in a bag. So, sorry.
Oh, I didn't know. Wait a minute. Wait, I mean, we never specified what the bag was constructed from. I mean, it's got to be a plastic bag, right? I would think it's a plastic bag of some kind, or some. I'll use this fancy phrase, which I know what it is: polymeric material, and that could be plastic. It could be styrene. It could be any of those exotic plastics or what have you. So that's what I'm thinking.
The problem is you have to trust people to actually use them properly, and there's no lawyer in the United States that wants to touch that one. No
I
oil
can imagine. I guess you're right then on second thought, but I don't know.
Definitely a bluff. Sorry about that. But
Okay.
Let's see. Let's check the final score. The final score is Karen 2, John 1. Congratulations go to Karen.
Karen, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Those of you playing at home did better than John did. Poor John, he has to go inside. No more sun. He's got to get to the flashcards. Get ready for.
I'll be doing flashcards for the next several days before next
Yes, you will.
All right. Okay. Well, that means we've reached the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our producer, co-host, and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Thank you, Karen, for all that you do for us, as well as for all of the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. Please, everybody, pay us a visit there. You can find out how to download my show, all the other podcasts. If you have coaching needs, check in with Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. All that great stuff is right there, waiting right at your fingertips or your slide on the phone, whatever you do.
That's a mystery too. That's a mystery also.
All that kind of stuff, yeah. And then I always thank my old buddy, co-host, host of What in the World of Sports, and all around good guy, John Donalo. Thanks for John for all you do for our show, for being a great co-host and putting up with all the nonsense I can throw at you.
Hey, Paul, I couldn't think of a more pleasant way to spend an afternoon than with you folks, just having a lot of yucks, as we would say. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
That's right. And John, thanks to you folks. Those you folks are you folks out there who are listening to the show. Without you, we wouldn't do it. We hope you have as much fun listening to our podcast as we do putting it on. And by putting it on, I mean we are going to put it on Tuesdays again. Today's Wednesday. Next week, we're back to Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time. I'm sure we're all still recovering from that big switch. I would support keeping regular time for all year long, but that's a story for another show.
Okay.
We will be back next week on Tuesday. That's all for me. Karen, anything else from you? Oh, good luck to the Louisville Bats.
Good luck to them in this season, Karen.
Absolutely.
Hope your son they have a great year. Good for them. And also, we'll be joining everyone the day after St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly.
So just be aware of that. I mean, it could be our audience could be a little tipsy, but at least they can tune in on something that'll make them laugh.
There you go. Green eye. Yeah. All right.
Well, everybody be safe on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, be safe.
Enjoy